Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Good. Be seated, please. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahavidyan Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Good. Welcome to you all. Welcome also to our many students attending this class online. We continue a study of this Uddhava Gita. First time I'm teaching it, first time we're studying it here, and it's turning out to be quite delightful. Let me introduce where we are in the text. Sri Krishna here is giving these very powerful instructions to Uddhava to help him let go of his attachments. So, as you know, the Dwaraka is about to implode, as they say, and that's his home, both of their homes. So Uddhava will be left homeless, familyless, and Sri Krishna is helping him let go of all that is being taken from him, which is an important teaching because we all undergo losses in life. And the issue is, how resilient are you in the face of those losses? These teachings are meant to increase that resilience. As I said in the early classes, these are teachings for the Kali Yuga. These are teachings to help us deal and cope better with difficulties and strife. So first, Sri Krishna went on and on at some length, showing the impossibility of gaining perfect peace and contentment through worldly pursuits. Then, after he finished bashing, as it were, the value of worldly pursuits, he then talked about heavenly pursuits. Many people will conclude that, okay, I can't gain perfect peace and contentment in this life. Let me follow dharma, let me do lots of rituals, and try to get to a heavenly domain in my next life. Then Sri Krishna bashed that approach, mostly by pointing out that even if you manage to get to some heavenly realm, you're limited to one lifetime in that heavenly realm. When that lifetime comes to an end, there's only, what did I say? There's only one way to go. When you're at the top, you can only fall. Isn't it true? So when you're in a heavenly domain, any rebirth is going to be lower than what you enjoyed in that loka. And Sri Krishna Sri Krishna continues on that theme, but adding something new. Adding the fact that let me back up. Why is it that we cannot gain perfect peace and contentment in this life? Natural limitations, right? That's the way the world is. That's the way the world was created. We are finite, limited beings, and we can only do so much. We can only accomplish so much. That's the way the world is, the way the world was created. Who created the world like that? Krishna says, you can blame me, Sri Krishna would say. He is the one who established the laws of nature and the laws of karma, which determine what we can get in this lifetime. So we can enjoy this lifetime according to the laws of nature and the laws of karma. Those laws are Ishvara's laws. Those laws are Krishna's laws, as we'll see in this series of verses. And then, if you go to heaven, you only stay there for one lifetime due to the laws of karma. Again, whose laws? Laws of Ishvara, laws of Krishna. So this is the new topic that comes today, and that is we can if we find that we can't gain perfect contentment and peace in this world, and we can't find perfect peace and contentment in the next world, in Loka, in heaven, then who shall we blame? Sri Krishna says, you'll see. Let us proceed. Lokanam lokapalanam, lokanam lokapalanam, madbhayam kalpajivinam, madbhayam kalpajivinam, brahmanopi bhayam mattaha, brahmanopi bhayam matto, dviparardha parayushaha, dviparardha ayushaha. So he says, lokanam, for all of those in that heavenly domain, loka palanam, and also for the heads of those various lokas. There might be some kind of hierarchy, like in a town you have a township council and a mayor, and then you have the county government, and then you have the state government. I wonder if it's like that in heaven. We don't know. Anyway, but there are the residents of the loka, there are the rulers of the loka, lokanam, lokapalanam, and for all of them, they have madbhayam. They have bhaya, fear. Mat here's the pronoun I. Sri Krishna says they live in that loka out of fearing me. That's what he says. Madbhayam. They live in that loka fearing me. Why? Kalpa jivinam. Knowing that they will only be in that heavenly domain for one kalpa, or one lifetime. He's changing the perspective here. When a kalpa comes to an end, anyone in any loka undergoes dissolution at the end of the cycle of creation, at the end of the kalpa. But here we could take kalpa in a more finite sense. The kalpa literally means that which is created, klipta is kalpa. So what is created here is your lifetime in heaven. So all of those who dwell in heavenly domains live in fear of being kicked out. and being kicked out according to the laws of karma, whose laws, those laws established by Sri Krishna. That's why he says, madbhayam. They live in fear that due to my laws they will be kicked out. And he says, brahmana api, even Brahmaji, bhayam mattaha, is afraid of me. Mattaha, again, our pronoun. Even Brahmaji is afraid of me. Why? Dve parardha para ayushaha. Because Brahmaji's ayusha, limited, even lifespan. Brahmaji's ayush, his lifespan, is para, it is parama, it is vast, but vast does not mean limitless. And Sri Krishna says, dve parardha. Ardha is a half, but we're talking now about half of a kalpa. 2 halves of a kalpa is one kalpa. So Brahmaji gets to live and be the Brahmaji, the highest of the gods, so to speak. He maintains that status for one kalpa, and then someone else gets to be Brahmaji. Hey, you could be Brahmaji. Theoretically, anything is possible. Now, the point here is if those in heaven and even Brahmaji live in fear of the end of their status, then what's the point of seeking that heavenly status? That's the point. So here, just like Sri Krishna focused first on showing the limitations of worldly life, now he continues by showing the limitations of heavenly life. And now he continues to develop this idea that we all struggle for happiness and contentment, trapped by the limitations of our lives, whether our lives are in this earthly world or our lives are in a heavenly world. We are trapped by limitations. And again, those limitations are part of the creation. And Sri Krishna says, you can blame me, so to speak. So let's continue. Okay. Guna srijanti karmani, guna srijanti karmani, guno nusrajate gunan, guno nusrajate gunan, jivastu guna samyukto, jivastu guna samyukto, bhunkte karma palanyasau, bhunkte karma palanyasau. The limitations we face in life. Gunaha srajanti karmani. Karmani, the actions we perform to seek happiness and contentment in this life or in the next life. Those actions, srajanti, are born of gunaha. And here in this verse, we have a source of confusion because the word guna is used in two completely different meanings. Here the word guna, and this is why we study these texts with commentaries. So the commentary says very clearly, gunaha indriyani. The gunas are the indriyas, your faculties, your sense organs, your powers of movement and speech, etc. And what is the basis for gunas meaning indriyas? Well, indriyas are made of gunas. So that which is made of gunas can be loosely called gunas, and that's what's going on here. I was thinking of some example to give. I can't really think of a great example. Try this. Milk is milk, right? If you take that milk, homogenize it, purify it, pasteurize it, add some fortifying, that's interesting, add some fortifying vitamins, and then you buy it at the local store, it's still called milk. Real different from what comes from the cow, but because it comes from the cow's milk, we still call it milk. So that's a metaphor to help understand why guna, here the first usage of the word guna, means indriya, our faculties, our skills, our powers as human beings. So whatever we can accomplish in life is limited according to our powers, our faculties. And further, gunaha, and here guna means sattva, rajas, tamas. And you'll see why. Gunaha anusrajate gunan. Literally, the gunas create the gunas. Huh? That's what it says. The gunas create the. So obviously the word guna must have two meanings. The first one is our conventional meaning, sattva, rajas, tamas. So due to sattva, rajas, and tamas, anusrijate, what is created is what? Gunan. The second word guna is in plural, refers to our faculties. So our faculties, indriyas, senses, powers, are born of the gunas. And the significance of this is going to be brought out in this verse and later verses. We'll start with one observation here. Often we consider gunas in terms of our mind's nature. Mind can have sattva guna, rajas, tamas, and a combination of all three. But what we observe is there's usually one guna that predominates in a given mind. Now here's a question. How much control do you have over which guna dominates in your mind at a particular time, in a particular situation? Would you agree that you have limited control? We have some control, absolutely. It would be silly to deny that we have any control over our minds, but if we're a little insightful and self-observant, we would admit that the degree to which we can control our minds is limited. So, our minds control our bodies, our senses, our indriyas, and our indriyas determine our karmas, the actions we do in life to gain perfect peace and contentment. This whole process is defective because we cannot completely control our minds, and our minds are like the linchpin upon which everything in our lives depends. Would you consider that? What we accomplish in life depends on our minds. And we just said, we're not in complete control of our minds. What kind of situation is that? It's a formula for disappointment, right? Okay, Sri Krishna continues. Gunastu guna samyuktaha, jivaha tu, but a jivaha, a person who is guna samyuktaha. Here we have the word guna once again in the sense of indriyas, organs, sense organs, capacities, faculties. So a person who is endowed with these faculties, these properties, what about that person? In the last line, end, asao, he, bhunkte, he enjoys, he experiences karma palani. We have to break these words apart. So he experiences karma palani based on his being guna samyuktaha, endowed with powers and faculties, all of which are limited. So given our limitations as human beings, we can accomplish only so much in life. And in fact, one of Krishna's earlier arguments, you'll remember, he said, no matter how skillful you are, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how powerful you are, what will you do about death? Out of our hands. This is the limitations of the human condition. And he continues to develop this idea. Yavat syad guna vaishamyam, yavat syad guna vaishamyam, tavananatvamatmanaha, tavananatvamatmanaha, nanatvamatmano yavat, nanatvamatmano yavat paratantriyam taraivahi paratantriyam taraivahi. Good. In fact, now he's setting up a sequence for our Sanskrit students. Yavat, tavat. Yavat, as long as, while. Yavat, as long as guna vaishamyam. Yavat syat, as long as this state continues. What state continues? Guna vaishamyam. Vaishamyam means out of balance. And out of balance here specifically means when tamas and rajas overwhelms sattva. When our thinking and behavior is driven by tamas and rajas and the sattvika aspects of who we are overwhelmed. They're present. There's no one who lacks sattva guna, but when rajas and tamas predominate, that sattva gets repressed, as it were. Well, in that condition, especially due to tamas, there will be, and rajas will cause the person to be engaged in worldly pursuits, not spiritual pursuits. Tamas will cause that person to be lacking in the spiritual knowledge, the wisdom, the enlightenment, which could put an end to this cycle of birth and rebirth. So therefore, yavat guna vaishamyam, as long as we have this imbalance of gunas with tamas and rajas prevalent, tavat, then nanatvam atmanaha. Then atma, oneself, and here oneself in a looser sense, doesn't mean Satchidananda Atma here. Can't mean Satchidananda Atma because he speaks of nanatvam, manyness. Atma will have manyness. In that statement, obviously, Atma cannot refer to Satchidananda, which is one. Ek hi Atma hai, as they say in many Hindi texts. But here, the Atma that does have manyness is the reincarnating entity. So here, Atma refers to that jiva, that reincarnating entity associated with the sukshma sharira that leaves the body at death and travels on and takes life after life after life, nanatvam. That's the idea. Due to guna vaishamyam. And then, nanatvam atmana yavat. You see the sequence. So first yavat tavat, now a second yavat tavat. Yavat, as long as atmanaha nanatvam, as long as atma remains many, and understand it in context, as long as the sukshma sharira continues to travel from life to life to life to life, as long as that continues, in the last line, breaking the words, tada eva hi, then indeed there will be para tantriyam. This is a very important word. Para tantriyam means being controlled by para, by another, lacking self-determination, controlled by others. Lacking self-determination in the sense that we just admitted that we are not completely in control of our minds. If we're not in control of our minds, we're not in control of our behavior, not in complete control. That's an important word. We have significant control, but it is certainly not complete. So if we don't have complete control of our minds, we won't have complete control of our behavior. If we don't have complete control of our behavior, we're going to do wrong things, commit papa, commit sins, and suffer the consequences. Or in simple terms, we'll make mistakes in life. As we all managed to do and continue to do. They say that if you're smart, you learn from your mistakes. That doesn't seem to be true at all, because many people seem to keep making the same mistakes again and again. If we look at human culture as a whole, we see the same mistakes being made again and again. Tell me, when has war resulted in benefit globally? Every war has had horrible consequences. So how to understand? War in Ukraine, war in Gaza, war in Sudan. Gosh, those people in Sudan are already suffering so badly, and then they have a civil war on top of it. It's absurd, the amount of suffering that goes on because of these repeated wars, because mankind as a whole doesn't learn from its mistakes. Anyway, that's just an observation here. All of this shows this problem of being paratantriyam. And we can actually tie that to an important topic we saw in the Bhagavad Gita, and that is we returning again to the fact that you're not in complete control of your mind. We've talked many times about the consequences of raga and dvesha. And remember our definitions. Raga is not just a like, it's a compulsion. Raga is a compulsion to chase after what looks good, and dvesha is not just dislike, dvesha is a compulsion to run away from what you don't want. So generally, people suffer throughout their lifetimes under these two kinds of compulsions, being compelled to run this way, being compelled to run away in the other direction. These compulsions control, it's a powerful statement, but it's true. These compulsions, called raga and dvesha, control our lives. Correct? They do. Raga and dvesha, these compulsions control one's life. That's what paratantriya means. There's no complete self-determination. You are victimized by your own mind. It happens a lot. And it happens because of this guna vaishamyam, sattva guna being repressed, and rajas, by the way, is the source of that raga and dvesha. Tamas refers more to ignorance, but it's that rajoguna that gives rise to those compulsions of raga and dvesha. So as long as raga and dvesha reigns in your mind, there is no complete self-determination. You have paratantriyam, external control. Okay. Then, yavat, again, so continuing this causal sequence. Yeah. Yavadasya swatantratvam, yavadasya swatantriyatvam, tavadishvarato bhayam, tavadishvarato bhayam, yahetat samupasirans, yahetat samupasirans, te muhyanti shucharpitaha, te muhyanti shucharpitaha. Yeah, I had to fix that. Okay. So, yavat, tavat, we get the sequence continuing. Yavat, as long as asya, as long as a person has a swatantriyam. Swatantriyam means being self-determined, self-controlled. Here, aswatantriyam means paratantriyam, other-controlled, lacking in self-determination. As long as a person lacks in self-determination, as long as a person's behavior and thinking is compelled by these forces of raga, dvesha, tavat, as long as that continues, what will happen? Ishvarataha bhayam. There will be fear of Ishvara. And we're back to this concept of fear. By the way, in this idea of fear is maybe not so familiar, but it's present in Scripture. They speak of fear of God in the biblical tradition, but here in our Vedic tradition, this fear has a very different sense. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, there's a famous passage. Bhishma smadvataf pavate bhisho deti suryaha. It goes on, but just that little bit. Bhisha smad agnischendrascha. So it says, due to bhisha, fear, due to fear, vataha, the wind, pavate, blows. Due to fear, asmat, of Ishvara. Due to fear of Ishvara, the wind blows. And bhisho detis, due to bhisha, fear, the sun, udeti, rises. What language? This is Upanishads, this is Vedas. Due to fear, the wind blows, fear of Ishvara. Due to fear of Ishvara, the wind blows. Due to fear of Ishvara, the sun rises. Due to fear of Ishvara, agnihi, fire. Agnischa, Indra. I have to look, Indra would have a different meaning here. Anyway, I'd have to look at the commentary. Anyway, so due to fear of Ishvara, the wind blows, the sun rises, and fire burns. Now, obviously, that's a poetic expression. Scriptures are the vakya, the words of the ancient rishis. The ancient rishis were these great mystics whose utterances are highly symbolic and highly poetic. So we have to understand what they mean. So the wind blows out of fear of Ishvara means the wind blows because of Ishvara's laws. That's what it means. The sun rises, not that the sun trembles in fear, the sun rises because of Ishvara's laws. And these laws are rigid. And I think it's that rigidity and the paratantriyam, the sun and wind do not have swatantriyam. The wind can't blow any way it wants. The sun can't decide to come up in the middle of the night. They do not have swatantriyam. They have paratantriyam. They are controlled by the laws of Ishvara. And so this is then poetically interpreted by the rishis in the sense of fear. The fear being a state of helplessness. That's the idea here. So, if you are aswatantriyam, if you lack the self-determination, if your behavior is driven by raga and dvesha, can guarantee that you'll get in trouble, so to speak, that the raga and dvesha at some point will compel you to do actions that you know are wrong. Actions that you know are adharmic. You will be compelled to perform adharmic deeds. and then suffer the consequences. So when you commit adharmic deeds, you know the consequences are coming, you don't know when. It's like the deities in heaven. They know the end is coming. They'll get kicked out of that heavenly domain. They don't know when, so they live in constant fear of being kicked out. So here, when you commit sinful actions, you know that eventually you will suffer the consequences. You live in fear. We all have in our futures papa karmas waiting to fructify and make us miserable. What to do? How can we avoid it? Because all of this is Ishwarataha. It's an adverb. It means due to Ishvara. This is Ishvara's, my guru liked the term Ishvara's order. The natural laws of the universe, and natural laws here would include not only the physical laws, the laws that we know through science, but also laws of karma. If we include these together, natural laws and laws of karma, what we have is what my guru called Ishvara's order. And whatever happens, happens according to Ishvara's order. Due to Ishvara's order, the wind blows. Due to Ishvara's order, the sun rises. Due to Ishvara's order, fire burns. Due to Ishvara's order, you suffer the consequences of your past actions. That's why Ishvarataha bhayam. That's why there is fear of Ishvara when, yavat, when you are not when you do not have swatantriyam, self-determination. Or to put it in the other terms, when you continue to be driven by the compulsions of raga and dvesha, then you are destined, if we can use that word, to commit papa, karmas, sinful actions, and suffer the consequences of those. So, then he concludes this line of thought, yea, those, by the way, when I break these words apart, I'm not mispronouncing that ya was yea before it underwent the rules of Sanskrit grammar, the sandhi. So yea, those who upasiran, those who subscribe to a tat, this world view, those who subscribe to, those who sevate, the commentator says, upasiran literally means those who meditate on, but it doesn't have that meaning here. So those who are stuck in a particular frame of mind is what Shankara intends here by the use of that word. Those who are stuck in this condition, in this mental condition, wherein their behavior and thinking is driven by the compulsive force of raga and dvesha, those people, mukhyanti, are continually deluded, making the same mistake again and again and again. What is that mistake? That happiness and contentment can be found if I just keep trying. Think of this very interesting observation. Several classes ago, we observed that the happiness and contentment we truly seek is not temporary. We don't want moments of happiness and contentment. We want uninterrupted happiness and contentment. Correct? Isn't that what we want? We went through that. We spent half a class detailing that. We won't be content until our contentment is uninterrupted. by definition. You don't want moments of contentment, you want uninterrupted contentment. We keep trying to get that uninterrupted contentment. Have you gotten it yet? And the point is, we keep trying. It's like the guy, he keeps buying lottery tickets, and he keeps trying and trying and trying. According to statistics, it's more likely that you will be struck by lightning than you'll win a big lottery. That's just a fact. Look at the numbers. So you keep trying again and again. No lottery, don't win. We don't learn from our mistakes. And this is a case in which we don't learn from our mistakes. We keep trying and trying and trying with this misguided notion that one day we will gain this perfect peace and contentment. And this is my favorite joke. You've heard it before. If you keep trying, there will be one day when you finally gain perfect peace and contentment and rest in peace. The day will come. But I think you'd like uninterrupted contentment before then, which is what this is all about. So therefore, and this is back to the rajas and tamas. So rajas is responsible for these compulsions of raga, dvesha. Tamas is responsible for not learning, that trying again and again and again and again doesn't work. Ignorance, mukhyanti. Therefore, they are deluded. They live their lives under this delusion, and as a consequence, they are shucha, arpitaha. They are stuck with suffering, so much suffering, and most significantly, no way out. It's a condition of paratantriyam. We'll loosely translate it, helplessness. To gain perfect peace and contentment, we are helpless. Not that we don't have free will. Again, we can control many aspects of our lives, many aspects of our mind, most of our behavior. The point is, we're not completely in control. And that lack of complete self-determination dooms us to suffering. What is the solution? We begin, Sri Krishna hints at it in the next verse. Let's see that. Kalahatma gamo lokaha, kalahatma gamo lokaha, swabhavo dharma hevacha, swabhavo dharma hevacha, iti mam bahudha prahur, iti mam bahudha prahur, guna vyatikare sati, Vyatikare sati. Start at the end. Guna vyatikare sati. We saw that word vaishamyam before. An adjective for vaishanyam is vyatikara. Disturbance is vyatikara. Here, vyatikare sati. When there is this disturbance, what kind of disturbance? The disturbance in your mind, the disturbance that is a result of rajas giving rise to raga and dvesha. Tamas, that veil of ignorance which prevents you from learning from your mistake, so you keep trying again and again and again. So as long as that condition continues, guna vyatikare sati, as long as that unbalanced, disturbed condition continues, iti mam bahudha prahuhu. Mam, me. Sri Krishna is speaking here. Mam, bahudha prahuhu. They refer, prahuhu, they call me, they refer to me, bahudha, in many ways. How do they refer to me? Iti, in this way. In what way? They call me kala, time. Remember, kala, time, natural laws. Remember, I was joking with you before when I said, Krishna says, blame me. This is where he's owning up to it. He says, blame me for kala, time. And time meaning your antakala, your final time, your death. Sri Krishna is karma palada. Ishvara is Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is Ishvara, and Ishvara is karma paladata. So if you like to call him Yama, you can, but Sri Krishna says you can blame me. I am Kala. They refer to me as Kala, time. They refer to me as Atma, the true self. They refer to me as Agama, the scriptures. They refer to me as Lokaha, the worlds. They refer to me as Swabhava, nature. They refer to me as Dharma. And here, Dharma can refer to the laws of karma. So Bhava can refer to the laws of nature. Dharma can refer to the laws of karma. All of this is part of Ishvara's order. All of this is due to Krishna. So Krishna says, Mam Prahuhu. They call me. They call me, and then this is my paraphrase. They blame me. So they blame me for the limitations of life. And you can understand why Ishvara created the world like it is. Again and again, interesting. The followers of the biblical traditions really get stuck with one question. And what I find is interesting is that this question is not so prominent in the Hindu tradition because of its very different orientation. But a question that really is a thorn in the side for followers of biblical religions is this: God is all good, God is all powerful, so why is there so much suffering in the world? God is all good. How does an all good and all powerful God allow so much suffering? And theologians argue about this, not argue, they have been struggling with this question for centuries and centuries. Notice that it's not such a prevalent problem in the Hindu tradition because of the doctrine of karma. We understand Ishvara as karma paladata, the giver of the fruits of our deeds. We have all made mistakes in this life and in past lives. As a result of our past mistakes, we have accumulated some papa karma. And that papa karma has to fructify in this life and future lives. And that papa karma will fructify by causing suffering. That papa karma will fructify according to Ishvara's order. So, blame Krishna. Is kind of the idea. He says they blame me. Mam bahudha prahuhu. They put all of this on me. Now, where is the solution? He's only hinting at it here. Here, the problem is when the problem goes back to ignorance. And we're right back to the fundamental teachings of Advaita Vedanta, and that is failing to recognize the true source of contentment and peace within us as that so-called inner divinity, or in Vedantic terms, Satchidananda Atma. Failing to recognize that inner truth, we wrongly conclude that happiness and peace and contentment lie out there. If not in this life, in a future life. Based on that fundamental wrong conclusion, We are stuck in this life of suffering. Suppose you didn't have that conclusion. In fact, just for fun, suppose you were enlightened. What would that feel like? And I want to make it very specific. Suppose you were enlightened. By the way, when you are enlightened, you are still subject to prarabdha karma. We've had this discussion before. If enlightenment destroys all your karma, karma is what keeps you alive. So if all of your karma is instantly destroyed as soon as you get enlightened, bas ho gaya. It's over. Obviously, that's not the case. So anyway, my point is, enlightened ones still suffer the consequences of their papa karmas. So Sri Ramakrishna died of cancer. Ramana Maharshi also died of cancer. So they died. But they didn't. If you read their life stories, you find out they died all right, but they didn't suffer. In fact, in both cases, the disciples were irate because their master wouldn't allow them to take them to the hospital. Ramakrishna's disciples wanted to take him to a hospital. Ramana's disciples wanted to take him to the hospital. And they both said, "What for?" They weren't suffering. They were dying. They weren't suffering. So imagine yourself in such a condition. You're dying of cancer, but you're not suffering. Would you blame Sri Krishna for your death? Why blame? There's no problem. You only blame when there's a problem. This enlightenment changes your relationship with the world and its creator completely because you're no longer attached to anything in the world, including your own life. In the absence of that attachment, when something is ripped away from you, generally, when we're attached to something and is ripped away from us, we struggle and suffer and fight and complain and all of this. But suppose you weren't attached. Suppose you offered it. Mostly people are attached to their lives, and they hold on for every last breath. Suppose you were enlightened at the end of your life, like Sri Ramakrishna, like Ramana Maharshi. Then, instead of holding on to every last breath, it becomes an offering. They're not attached. Nothing to hold on to. This is a solution. What will it, and just be very clear, what will it take to let go of your attachment to the extent that instead of holding on to every last breath, you can offer your last breath to Ishvara? That's the goal of these teachings. And you can't fake it. It's not a matter, faking it is not the right term. It's not a matter of belief. Full stop. Belief is really, really helpful in religious and spiritual life. Here it won't help. If you believe everything is in Ishvara's hands, many people believe everything is in Ishvara's hands. And then as they're dying, right? They believe everything is in Ishvara's hands, but they're still trying to do everything possible to stay alive. Well, wait a minute. If it's in Ishvara's hands, why are you micromanaging? which is what it is. If somebody is dying, and by the way, not only the patient, but families also micromanage. If it's really in Ishvara's hands, stop micromanaging. And let me be very specific, if someone is close to death, a loved one is close to death, these heroic life-saving measures, which cost thousands and thousands of dollars and don't work in the long run anyway, that's micromanagement. Let go. Let go of that attachment. If it's in Ishvara's hands, let it be in Ishvara's hands. Offer it to Ishvara as opposed to holding on, clinging. And again, we cling not only to our own lives, but when our loved ones are dying, we cling to them. And when you cling, this is an important, it's a side issue, but it's important. We'll end with just a few comments here. When your loved one is dying, and you are the one holding on, you are the one telling the doctors to prolong your loved one's life as long as possible, your loved one's suffering is being extended by your selfish desires. Right? That's what it ends up being. So, this is a good example of letting go. Your loved one's death is according to Ishvara's laws. Your loved one's death is is in Ishvara's hands. So instead of prolonging their suffering, instead of micromanaging, by the way, doctors don't like that anyway. Anyway, it's not helpful at all. And it really is an expression of your own attachment. So here, Sri Krishna is hinting at the solution to this problem. The ultimate solution is the Vedantic solution, which is to recognize the true source of contentment and peace within you. With that personal recognition, this attachment just goes away. So instead of holding on, you can offer. Okay, that's a good place to conclude for today. We have holidays coming. So tomorrow is Christmas Eve, and you may not celebrate Christmas, but there are many social things that take place, so we will not have classes tomorrow. We'll continue then next Saturday. Okay, we'll conclude with our brief prayers at the altar. Om Gananahan Tva Ganapatigam Avamahe Kaving Gavhinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatahana Shrenvan Uttabasira Saranam Om Mahaganapataye Namaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bhera Vibhagine Vyoma Vadvyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramhanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschad Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat.